Have you ever caught your child doing something that shocked you? My 12-year-old son Tyler had been acting weird for about 2 months. Not bad weird, just different. He'd disappear right after school, always had some excuse about staying late for math tutoring or helping teachers clean classrooms. The kid who used to beg for video game time was suddenly too busy for Xbox. His grades were still good, he wasn't getting in trouble, but something felt off. My wife Lisa kept saying I was being paranoid. He's just growing up, becoming more responsible, but I've been this kid's dad for 12 years. I know when something's different. Then last Tuesday I got off work early. Decided to surprise Tyler by picking him up from school instead of making him take the bus. I pulled into the parking lot around 3:30, expecting to find him coming out the main doors. Instead, I saw him walking toward the back of the school with this heavy backpack and what looked like my old toolbox from the garage. I followed him at a distance, curious about what he was up to. He went to this little house right behind the school. I recognized it as Mrs. Patterson's place. She's this 82-year-old widow who taught at the elementary school for like 40 years before retiring. Sweet lady, but I heard she'd been struggling since her husband died last spring. I parked across the street and watched through the trees. Tyler knocked on her back door and she let him in with this huge smile on her face. I could see them talking through the kitchen window, but couldn't make out what they were saying. About 10 minutes later, Tyler came back outside and started working on something in her backyard. I crept closer to get a better look. This kid was fixing her back deck, not playing around, actually repairing it. He had wood planks laid out, was measuring things with a tape measure using actual tools like he knew what he was doing. I watched for almost 2 hours. Tyler replaced 3 rotting boards, tightened loose screws on the railing, and even painted over some rust spots. Mrs. Patterson came out every so often to bring him water or a snack. When he finished, she tried to hand him money. He shook his head no and packed up the tools. Then he hugged her goodbye like she was his own grandmother. I drove home fast and pretended I'd been there the whole time. When Tyler walked in around 6 p.m., I asked him how school was. Fine, he said. Same answer he'd been giving me for weeks. Learn anything interesting in math tutoring? He hesitated for just a second. Yeah, we worked on fractions. That night after Tyler went to bed, I checked my toolbox in the garage. Half my tools were missing. I found them the next day, perfectly organized in Tyler's closet along with wood stains, sandpaper, and replacement boards I definitely didn't buy. I decided to do some detective work. I called the school and asked if Tyler had been staying late for tutoring. The secretary laughed and said, Tyler? No, he leaves right when the bell rings every day. So where was he getting money for supplies? I checked his savings account online. He'd withdrawn $240 over the past 2 months. Money from birthdays and Christmas that he'd been saving for a new gaming setup. The next day, I followed him again. Same routine. School, Mrs. Patterson's house, more repair work. This time he was fixing her front porch steps, which I noticed were getting pretty wobbly. But here's the part that really got me. After he finished working, Tyler sat with Mrs. Patterson on her newly repaired porch for almost an hour, just talking. She was showing him old photo albums, and he was listening like it was the most interesting thing in the world. I realized my 12-year-old son had been spending his afternoons and his own money to help this lonely old woman fix up her house. No one asked him to do it. No one was making him do it. He saw someone who needed help and just started helping. That evening, I confronted him. Tyler, I know you haven't been going to math tutoring. His face went white. He probably thought he was in huge trouble. I saw you at Mrs. Patterson's house. What's going on? He looked down at his hands. Her deck was falling apart. She mentioned it when I walked past her house one day after school. She seemed really sad about it. So you decided to fix it yourself? I looked up how to do it on YouTube. It's not that hard. And she's really nice. She makes me cookies and tells me stories about when she taught at the school. I asked him why he didn't tell me about it. I thought you'd make me stop. Say it was too dangerous, or that I should focus on homework instead. That hit me right in the gut. My kid thought I'd stop him from helping someone. Tyler, what you've been doing is incredible. But why spend your own money on supplies? She offered to pay me, but she's on a fixed income. That means she doesn't have much money, right? I looked it up, and I had savings, so it seemed fair. The next Saturday, I showed up at Mrs. Patterson's house with Tyler, a truck full of supplies, and my best tools. Mind if I help? I asked. Tyler's face lit up like Christmas morning. We spent the whole weekend finishing her repairs together. Mrs. Patterson made us lunch and told us stories about teaching Tyler's dad back in the day, which blew Tyler's mind. When we finished, she hugged us both and started crying. You have no idea how much this means to me. This house has been falling apart since Harold died, and I couldn't afford to fix it. That's when I realized my son wasn't just fixing her house. He was fixing her loneliness too. Tyler still goes over there twice a week. Now it's mostly just to visit and help with small things around the house. But he taught me something important about noticing when people need help and actually doing something about it. Kid's 12 years old and already a better person than most adults I know.